In our spotlight, one of the richest people in the world is set to get even richer. Tesla shareholders voted to restore CEO Elon Musk's record $44.9 billion pay package that was thrown out by a Delaware judge earlier this year. Tesla's board has said a goal is to keep Musk's attention on the company. The company's stock has tumbled about 28% so far this year amid weakening demand for electric vehicles. Let's bring back our panel, Brian, Kaivan, and John. Brian, this vote doesn't mean that Musk is going to necessarily get all that stock compensation anytime soon. Do you see this changing the mind of the Delaware judge who said Musk shouldn't get this pay package?
I'm not totally sold on that one. I think it can go either way, because at the heart of this lawsuit filed by these small group of disenfranchised shareholders, they were making the point that Elon Musk had not properly advised the shareholders and actually disclosed misinformation, and also that he's basically controlling the board to make those decisions as to whether or not to give himself a reimbursement, so long as he hits some pretty lofty goals. And so I think for the plaintiffs, they get to argue, hey, I don't think that he gave us all the information. I still think he controls the board. This doesn't show anything except for the power to make the vote. But I think for Elon Musk, he says, hey, look at this 77% approval. They know what's going on. They trust me, and I'm going to make this money for them. So I think it just adds fuel to the fire for both sides.
Totally. And we heard Elon Musk right away go on X, one of his other companies, and basically declare victory here. But the fact is, we have heard concerns from investors who say he's running a lot of businesses. There's X, there is SpaceX. He also, is not ashamed about supporting conspiracy theories online. John Katko, what does it say to you that investors, did kind of give him this vote of confidence in this approval of this pay package?
Well, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me, and it goes directly against the narrative that CEOs are not overpaid. And, you look at companies nationwide, and you see these extraordinary amounts of money they're getting paid. And now this one blows the lid off of all of them. And if it goes through or not, it feeds to the narrative that they are abusing their positions, or they're taking too much money out of the till. I mean, this company you just noted is down 20% more this year in stock, and he's going to earn $43 billion. I mean, that's insane. And to me, I think it's a terrible narrative. I could see technically he probably earned it because of the deal he earned. I think Brian's right. It's going to be a lot of litigation on this. I'm not sure they're going to prevail, but I know one thing's for sure. This is terrible for the image of corporate America.
Well, you totally took the words out of my mouth there, John, because I think there is this bigger theme here that we've heard this extreme discrepancy between what we see CEOs making and what we see workers making. We have seen even institutional investors say that Tesla's workers need to be treated better, and they didn't want this pay package to approve. Kaivan, I mean, what does this tell us about the state of wealth inequality and that kind of big differential? Is there a story there?
I think there is, especially, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world getting this pay package. And who are his workers? The folks that he forced to go into factories during COVID who got ill. So that definitely matters. I think it's also worth noting that within 48 hours before this vote, there was explosive reporting, new allegations of sexual misconduct and harassment, a lawsuit from former SpaceX employees against Musk about that. And obviously the board and the shareholders did not care about that. I really view this as a concession from the shareholders that Tesla is a company that can't function without Elon Musk, and that isn't good for them. And mind you, Tesla is a company that is based off of hype and marketing. Most people don't want a car that spontaneously combusts, and I think that Elon Musk really is the Wizard of Oz behind that curtain here, and eventually it's going to catch up with them.
On the flip side, do any of you agree with the argument that he did take this company that was at one point a scrappy startup? He set these performance targets that seemed really difficult to meet, and he did meet them at one point, and now Tesla is the most valuable automaker in the world. So isn't there a point to be made there that he deserves some of this money in these tens of billions of dollars?
So. I think so. Yeah, I think that that's the counter argument, but don't forget, he's being richly rewarded because he owns a bunch of stock on top of it. So it's not like he's not, this is extra, as if I understand it correctly. So it's not like he's not being rewarded. It's just like, at what point do we say that these companies are out of control with the compensation packages? They are feeding their CEOs to the detriment of the common Joe Smith shareholder? That's really the question here. But I bet you if you came tomorrow and offered Kayvon $43 billion for that Rolling Stones cool poster behind his shoulder, Kayvon would take it and run, wouldn't you?
It's Kayvon, but yeah, I would take it for $43 billion. But I will say, just because the company is valued highly does not mean that it's performing on its fundamentals. And I think that's really the point here, is that this is not a company that has been doing well, especially in recent months, for a host of reasons. And by the way, I think a lot of those reasons have led to Musk's, sharp turn rightward. So I think, it's a bit much to credit his genius, which I think we've all seen on full display with his mismanagement of his other companies, for the value of the stock or anything like that.
I do have to
I think for the
question. Go ahead, Brian.
So I think for the shareholders is the idea of you kind of dance with the one who brought you to the prom, but the only problem here is he's dancing with 3 other people as well. I think you've listed out his other companies, and Tesla and the shareholders are looking around and saying, hey, like you're making these comments elsewhere, you're dancing with SpaceX and with X, and look at our stocks and look at our value, it's going down. At what point are you going to turn to us and focus on us and make sure that money climbs up? And I think that people are looking at him and saying, hey, you got us here to some extent. Can you hopefully bring us to the promised land? I think they're more hopeful than they are realistic in some ways.
Well, and I think that's kind of why this is such an interesting debate. I do have to say, come on, there is no we don't really see these cars spontaneously combusting. A lot of people drive Teslas. A lot of people love those cars. And they are, one of the most valuable companies right now, the most valuable automaker. But we'll put that aside for now. Brian, Kayvon, and John, thank you guys so much. Stick around because we still have another panel left.